Okay, we're back with another vault video. This is the fourth vault of the season. We are going into week 5, and I'm gonna probably open up my Paladin, Brewmaster, and Warriors vault here and talk about my decision making and complain about bad loot. So we're gonna start off with the Paladin first, and then we'll move on to Warrior and Brewmaster. Now, this week you do get an extra catalyst charge. So this is, you should be able to find an extra, let's just throw our, I don't know, chest in here. You should now have an extra charge. So if you're someone who hasn't had Foresight yet, this is the week you should be able to get it. I believe this is the third charge we're getting. But if you've gotten KSM, you should have gotten it, I think, last week or 2 weeks ago now, if you've been good with gear. But my Paladin didn't do much last week. I think I ended up just doing enough dungeons to finish the weekly quest, which was complete 4 mythic dungeons for a piece of heroic loot. I got kind of rolled on it. I ended up getting the boots, which then I actually catalyzed for transmog, because I really like the Paladin set. But because I only did 4 dungeons, I'm not going to have a lot of loot in here. So I did a little bit of raiding, and we are an avoidance reverb radio. So I did a little bit of heroic raid. I did 4 bosses, and then of course I did some Mythic Plus. This is not a great vault, but also not the worst vault. So the problem with the axe is that I already have a crafted sword with an embellishment on it. Now, crafted items do cap out at 675, where this mythic track weapon would go all the way up to 678. So I would be able to gain 3 more item levels here, and that would allow me to potentially craft elsewhere. So I can craft a helm, I can craft a jewelry piece, but I definitely need to rework some of my stats. Now, the ring from Heroic Raid and the ring from my mythic track, there's problems with these. First, I really want to take mythic track loot, and this is a very high crit with a little bit of haste on it. I know ultimately I'm going to end up crafting a ring, even though right now this would actually really fix my stats. I have way too much mastery than I could ever really ask for. So this ring isn't, it would fix my stats, but it's not on the mythic track, which is my major problem with it. The other ring is really heavy crit with a good bit of mastery, and the problem with that is that paladins really, really value haste. It allows them to, it benefits our tier set, it benefits our rotation, it benefits our CDR. The entire cadence of the class really revolves around having really high haste, and taking a jewelry piece, which is where most of our secondary stats come from, and putting just heavy crit on it with a little bit of mastery would definitely hurt, and I would lose at least 3,000 haste from replacing my Ring of Earthen Craftsmanship. The Reverb Radio is an interesting choice because, first off, it has avoidance on it, which is already really good. Now, the thing that I'm always kind of keeping in mind during this season is that we do get, supposedly, we're going to be getting a quote-unquote dinar system that's going to be implemented either next patch or in 11.1.7, meaning that we're going to be able to choose an item. So even if this was true best in slot, I could always just pick up a mythic track reverb radio once that dinar system comes into play. It also comes from the 3rd boss. And while my guild has killed Rick of Reverb twice, I am raiding on my Brewmaster currently. While I could always bring in my Paladin for a kill, people still need this trinket. So I could take this to replace my Sack Brood, which would be actually kind of nice. Or sorry, Sack Brood. Stormlord's Authority. I'm not really sure what to take. Right now, I'm leaning towards Weapon. And the reason I'm leaning towards Weapon is because, unfortunately, I did send a Spark already on a weapon. But I could always craft somewhere else. So whenever I'm trying to make a decision like this, I like to look at different sources. So I will look at Raider.io leaderboards, I'll look at sites like this one, Murloc.io, I'll look at Archon, and I'll see what players are currently running. Now, it's always a little weird at the start of a season because, well, RNG is all over the place. We've only a handful of mythic vaults. People are still experimenting with different talent builds. People have different stat weight distributions. Some people are raiding, some people are not. Some people are hard progging. But we can kind of use this as a kind of template to see if players are currently using what I have in my vault. Now, it looks like the majority of people are actually using the crafted weapon, hence that's kind of why I crafted. Not really anyone is using the item that I have in Vault, but again, it's kind of boils down to RNG. Have they gotten it from their Vault already on Mythic Track? If they haven't, that's probably not. It's probably why they're not using it. So it looks like most people are sticking with the sword. And when it comes to embellishments, most people are using an Ascendant and a Dawn Thread Lining, giving them critical strike when they're above 80% health. And that's actually the current setup that I actually have. So you can also see here that Reverb Radio isn't even necessarily considered good for Mythic Plus. I'm not really someone who enjoys raiding all that much, and I don't gear my character to raid, so I don't really want to take the Reverb Radio either. And when it comes to rings, people are using haste crit or haste verse rings, or haste mastery in this case with the football championship ring or foot bomb championship ring. So this vault is kind of difficult because none of the items I would truly want. Again, I have a crafted weapon with the crafted weapon by itself would be worse than this, but because it has an embellishment on it, I think it has more value. So I really don't know what to do here. Now I did jump over to Archon. Now Archon, I'm a fan of, but I'm also not a fan of. I like to take this with more of a grain of salt. What I like about the Murloc IO is that it gives you a breakdown of the top 50 players according to Blizzard's APL on the IO leaderboards for Mythic Plus. Archon tends to include more of a breadth of players, which means that it can kind of be all over the place. Now, Reverb Radio is only being ran by 4% of players. That could come down to people just not being assigned it because they're raiding on a raid team and it's going to DPS players, or it's just not that great of a trinket. God damn, I don't know what to take. This is like a difficult decision. So I still have one craft, and the idea for crafting is that I would end up replacing... I'm going to probably craft a Ring of Earth and Craftsmanship, which means my haste and my mastery will go up. But my Circe's Circlet is currently mostly giving me... So if I actually took the crit mastery ring, it's high crit, low mastery. This could be replaced with just haste mastery, so both values would go up. I believe that the ring is actually going to be the best choice. And so what then I do is I craft Earth and Craftsmanship, and I take Perpetual Conflict. Even though it's a non-haste piece, I'm going to lose so much haste by doing that, though. Almost 6% haste. Oh, man. Oh, I don't know if I can justify losing that much haste. Do I take a weapon? Probably not to replace it, or a ring that I probably won't use. Or do I just take Reverb Radio as something I'd probably use now? Fuck. I know haters are just like, sim it. Just sim it. I don't like to sim. I didn't think that logging... I thought this was going to be like the quick, just, oh, I have one good piece, just take it. And it's not even that all these pieces are good, it's just, I want to take the radio, but it's not Mythic Track. I want to take the weapon, but I already have crafted a weapon, so I'm just kind of set back a week. I want to take the ring, but then my haste is too low, and I would just never take this ring. So it's like, I could take this crit mastery ring for, like, ret if I ever decide to play it way down the road, but by the time I get to that point, I'm probably just gonna craft. Like, I'm gonna have tons of sparks anyways. God, fuck. Will I regret taking this weapon? All right, we're going weapon. I'm just gonna fucking send it because I don't want to spend 30 minutes trying to figure out what I want to take. All right, so I don't think I'm gonna be replacing that yet, unfortunately. Like, I'm not gonna use it this week, but that's okay. That is a-okay. Okay, so we're on the warrior. Really quick, time walking this week for normal cash. If you want to do a couple time walking, it's Warlords of Draenor, so the dungeons should be pretty quick, plus Darkflame Cleft will get you rep. So I recommend picking these up. If you don't value normal raid loot, don't worry about it, but also, if you're working on alts now, this is a good thing to slam really quick. It could be anything but tier items. Okay, so last week I did not raid. I don't think I did any delves, so it's purely mythic vaults, but I'm pretty sure I did at least 8 keys last week on my warrior. Mythic track loot is really all we're looking for here. My warrior is actually more geared than my brewmaster, so we're not looking for anything super crazy. Mythic track gloves. These are very good. They're haste verse. I already have them on the hero track, but the mythic track would be nice. We also have Monstrosity's Gaze, which is low haste, high verse. This is a very strong helm for protection warrior as well. And then we have the ritual bone band with high verse, low mastery. This is not a great ring for protection warrior, so we're probably leaning towards these two. Now, I already have 665 gloves, so if I take these mythic track gloves, I'm going to be able to upgrade them once for free, but anything beyond that's going to cost me stuff. Or I can take the Monstrosity's Gaze, which I currently am wearing a champion helm. It has a socket in it, but the item level on the mythic track is going to be more valuable to me than a socket. I will lose a good bit of crit, but I will gain a fair bit of versatility and a little bit of haste, which I think I value a little bit more right now. My crit's near 16,000. with my versatility only being at 9,000. Now I am wearing a crit file, so I could always, or flask, I could always replace it. For me, I think this is a pretty easy decision. It's going to most likely be the helm. Now what I'm going to do though is quickly check the Mythic Dungeon Journal for raid to see if gloves drop off of any of these kind of earlier bosses. So Styx Bunkjunker does drop gloves that I can always do on Mythic to catalyze. My guild is 4 of 8 currently. We're going to be working on Sprocket, but when we re-clear Styx, I can always go in and do the warrior instead because, well, tanking doesn't matter since I'm the bomb bitch on that fight. As for the helm, I want this helm specifically, but I can always catalyze any hands that I get. So I think what we're going to end up doing is taking this helmet here for a direct upgrade, saving of crests, as well as getting a mythic track piece of loot. This decision was so much quicker than the protection paladin. That's crazy. So here we are. We have our Monstrosity's Gaze. Oh, that's not it. It's this one. We're going to throw this on. It's a beans looking helmet. I'm going to make sure I transmog this, so we don't want that. And we're good. So that's it. That was so much easier than the protection paladin. So this week we're probably going to focus on upgrading some of our mythic track pieces, maybe getting our C40M pacemaker up, but you're going to get, there's no craft this week. So you can send all your crests on upgrades, which means you're getting 6, I believe, right? 15 each, 90, yeah, 6. So what I can probably do is I'll probably try to max out my trinket at least, and then I'll probably just go for helm and shoulders to upgrade. So probably a couple ranks on each, and that should put me at 665 minimum. So we're good. All right, let's go to the Brewmaster. Yo, look at all these people getting their 2,500 and shit. It's pretty dope. Okay, Brewmaster. We are making sure that we are in protection, or not Brewmaster spec. I did four mythic bosses last week, so I should have all raid slots. I should have 2 mythic, 1 heroic, and then I have all raid slots. I did not do any delves. I'm not interested in them. I was originally with the Noggin Fogger elixir, but they quickly nerfed that. So we're gonna be opening this up. We are hoping for mythic track items, pretty much anything that we don't already have, and we're gonna be looking for specifically some the Tome of Light's Devotion would be pretty sick. Oh. Okay. This is going to be a long, I'm going to have to talk about this for a second because there's a lot going on here. So first things first, mythic track weapon. Now this comes from the first boss. It's very good for Windwalker. It will naturally sim higher for Brewmaster based on how the sims operate because one-handed attacks can be parried, two-handed attacks cannot. So these are always going to sim higher. There's arguments to be made for either or. I am someone who prefers dual wielding weapons. I get a question, the question I get the most is, should I craft a two-handed? Should I craft a one-handed? Should I wait? Like, craft whatever you want. It doesn't matter for 99% of people. I like to dual wield for transmog, for additional enchants. I think that generally the auto attacks end up yielding a better result. I like dual wielding. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. When I sim Mythic Raid, this is one of the highest upgrades. I think the other polearm comes from One Arm Bandit, and that one in particular will sim higher than this one. But Capo's Molten Knuckles plus the weapon from Cauldron of Carnage sims equally, if not higher, than just wearing the polearm. And I've also seen sims where the difference is less than 20k damage. You're not losing much, but I currently am wearing 665. So if I take the weapon, I can upgrade it for free up to 665. It's giving me a high amount of haste, which I do not want. And it's giving me a little bit of verse. We also have 668 pants. These come from Styx. I can catalyze these this week, which would give me 3 item levels up from my heroic pants that I made last week. And then there's Gallywix's Iron Thumb. This sims higher than my current weapon in single target, but I don't think it's more valuable than the Star Sword Seraph's Mace outside of the raid environment. So most likely I'm not going to be taking this thumb either. The pants I could take. We also have the 85-year tenure ring. This ring, unfortunately for Brewmaster, I am not a fan of. It's very heavy mastery. If it was crit heavy with a little bit of mastery, it'd be probably a different story. But because it's mastery heavy, I'm probably going to kind of steer away from taking this. The rings that I'm currently set up with are actually Circe's Circlet and a Delve Trinket on the champion track. This one, it's RNG. You can farm it kind of pseudo from delves, but you have to have a key. It has to be bountiful, and you have to get really lucky with it being this ring in specifically. But it's high verse, low crit. So for now, I'm probably going to be rocking this ring until I craft something. So let's talk about the last two items, because these are definitely up for discussion. So ringing Ritual Mud, by far, I think, is one of the better trinkets you can possibly take as Brewmaster. It's a versatility stat stick, which we really like. And while it isn't, the cooldown isn't lowered by our stagger, F, because for some reason it works for the VDH stagger for Felskart. Not mad about it at all. This is still a powerful trinket in a lot of dungeons, including things like Floodgate and Priory of the Sacred Flame. This trinket gets a lot of value, and any dot that's really applied, Cinderber, Meadery, Mechagon Workshop, will reduce this trinket. And there are times where you're going to be using this on a minute cooldown instead of a 2-minute, and it's a nasty shield. You can see here that even at 662, it's 9.2 million damage, and it does a little bit of nature damage over the course of its duration. But we also have Signet of the Priory, and as we saw, or as I brought up earlier, we can come back to Murloc.io, we can go to Monk, Brewmaster. You're going to actually, from my understanding, you're going to be seeing a lot of Brewmasters play with this. People are really liking this when you're running weapons, what? Why am I blanking out so much? When you're running Master of Harmony, you play this 2-minute cooldown trinket. It's going to give you about 8,000, give or take, of your highest secondary stat. This is often going to be crit or versatility, which is pretty nasty. I do have this trinket already on 655. I can always upgrade this. It's going to give me 7,000 of my highest stat, which I think right now is verse. When you're running Master of Harmony, you are no longer benefiting from efficient training. Efficient training is giving you cooldown reduction on your weapons of order. People also don't play Chi Surge, meaning that your weapons of order is going to be a static 2-minute CD, which lines up with the Signet trinket, making your weapons of order window extremely valuable, because you're getting like a flat 5 to 7% damage amp if you're getting verse. When you get crit, I think it's give or take like 8 to 9% crit, depending on what your current crit is at, because there are diminishing returns that kick in once you have 30% value. Speaking like, which is around like the 18, give or take like 20,000 mark, I think. I don't know off the top of my head the exact number. So Signet is a really good for Master of Harmony. You're going to see if you're looking at the leaderboards, the monks who are playing this trinket include Monksy and Equinox, who are two players who have been playing Master of Harmony a little bit more aggressively. Monksy, I think, currently is EU rank 1. Equinox is down a little bit because I think he's been chilling down here. But he is actually set up with, as you can see, verse crit with a lot of mastery. And he's going to be rocking that Signet. If we come back here and take a look at Monksy, he is also one of the only, I guess, big crushers moving up here. But he is also playing, if we scroll down, he is also playing Signet plus Euphorium. So two really strong trinkets for damage. So I'm a little torn here, because Ring Ritual Mud has a lot of value to me, but it doesn't have main stat. And that's kind of the big downside, is that when you're running a trinket like this, you're trading main stat, stagger effectiveness, overall damage for a pretty sizable absorb. If we come back to my last key that I ran, I mean, this trinket at 665 is doing incredible work. I don't remember what key this was. This was a 15 Rookery, I think. And so Rookery is not even the best area for this trinket. Oftentimes this trinket will be competitive with Celestial Brew, which is incredible. What's also funny is that I've seen this Signet trinket. This is the second time I've seen a Mythic Track Signet from my vault. So, okay, let's narrow this down. So no on the thumb, no on the Grease Monkey's shift stick, and no on the 85-year tenure ring. Now, trinkets, very highly valuable, but I have already spent crests getting these up to 665, meaning that I'm not saving crests by picking these. It's just going to allow me to, in the future, have a Mythic Track item that I'm going to be able to upgrade down the road. The pants, though, they are more or less farmable because we still will kill the 4th boss on Mythic, and if the pants drop, I can roll on them, I can eventually catalyze them at 668. If I took these right now, they would be a 3-item level upgrade on top of my pants, plus being on the Mythic Track, and they're already closer to that 678 benchmark at 6 of 6 Mythic. I'm definitely not taking the ring. So basically, we have narrowed this down to 3. I'll be honest. I really, really hate Master of Harmony. I have tried playing it so far this season. I am still sold that Shadowpan is better. I think Master of Harmony suffers from a couple of things. I think having lower secondary stats though, like compared to where we're going to be once we're 678, it's just different. I know Signet is really good for Master of Harmony, but I have it on the hero track, and I don't plan on playing Master of Harmony anytime in the near future seriously when pushing keys, unless I start to really need to. But for now, I'm making Shadowpan work, as is Mordrum, who is I think currently third, as well as Poa, who I think actually took over rank 1 last night, I believe, or 2 nights ago. He's been blasting, but basically 3 of the top 5 monks are playing Shadowpan, so if you look at those statistics, they're both competitive. So I think I'm going to pass on Signet once again. So I'm really ruling it down to just these two. When looking at Styx Bunk Junker, what's really funny about Styx is that he is the 4th boss, but he drops both legs and legs. So you get like a double leg roll here. I know we're probably going to kill him again this week. At least I hope we do. And if that's the case, then I have essentially 2 shots at the items. Obviously, we have a loot council. So they're going to assign it to whoever it's going to be an upgrade for, but I believe it would go, Zenith would probably go to our actual warrior, and then if pants happen to drop, I think I'd be able to take them. So with that logic out of the way, I think Ringing Ritual Mud is going to be the choice that I'm going to end up taking here. Oh no, but I'm losing speed! Okay, that changes everything. I'm kidding, it changes nothing. And we are locked in. All right, so that's it. That's all she wrote. All right, so good luck in your vaults this week. Remember, there is a pick up the quest for Darkflame Cleft. If you complete a Darkflame Cleft at any point, you get a rep. Rep is really good. It gives your alts Valor Stones. It gives your alts extra crests later down the road. Pick it up if you're going to be doing dungeons this week. Time walking. Time walking is also a valuable way to gear up alts, or if you're looking for like a specific piece, it's something to do. So make sure you're picking these up. Again, you have an extra catalyst charge this week. This is the 4th charge or 3rd charge we're getting from our catalyst, or 4th charge. And then you've gotten one from getting 2K AOTC or 1800, I believe. So feel free to come down here and use your catalyst charge. But yeah, best of luck in your vaults. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.